Have you ever wondered why some people stay calm when everything around them is falling apart, while others break down under the same pressure? That quiet strength you see in others, it's not luck. It's not natural-born talent. It's training. And the truth is, you can build that same kind of calm no matter how overwhelmed you feel right now. Think about the last time you reacted with anger, panic, or frustration. Maybe it was a sudden argument, an unexpected bill, or that overwhelming sense that nothing's going your way. In those moments, it felt like your mind was racing, your chest tightened, and your thoughts spiraled into worst-case scenarios. That chaos inside you wasn't the situation, it was your reaction to it. And that's where your power begins. What most people never realize is that calm is not the absence of stress. It's the ability to stay centered in the middle of it. Life is never going to be perfect. Things will go wrong. People will disappoint you. Plans will fall apart. But if you can train your mind to stay calm, to breathe when others are screaming, to think clearly when emotions are high, you become unstoppable. Calmness is not weakness. It's control. It's the difference between reacting and responding. It's the skill that separates those who are consumed by their problems from those who rise above them. And once you begin to train this part of your mind, you'll see just how powerful you really are. Right now, you might feel like your emotions control you, that your anxiety, anger, or fear shows up before you even have a chance to stop it. But that doesn't mean you're broken. It means your mind is doing what it's been trained to do. The question is, are you ready to retrain it? Because here's what's waiting on the other side of that decision: peace in the middle of chaos, confidence under pressure, the ability to make better choices, to build stronger relationships, and to live with a kind of freedom most people never taste. You deserve that. You deserve to feel in control of your emotions, not chained to them. You deserve to wake up with a clear head, face challenges without drowning in them, and move through life with quiet strength. This isn't just about calming down. It's about building a foundation so solid that no matter what hits you, you don't crumble, you adjust, you respond, and you move forward. That's the reward. That's the transformation. If you've ever felt tired of the overthinking, the panic, the emotional roller coasters, then stay with this. Because what you're about to learn isn't just information. It's a blueprint for change, real change. The kind that starts inside your mind and shows up in every part of your life. Keep listening. This could be the moment your life begins to shift. Your mind is designed to protect you, but in trying to protect you, it often traps you. It scans for danger, it reacts fast, it prepares for the worst. That's how it's wired. But that wiring, when left unchecked, becomes the reason you overreact, shut down, or spiral into stress. You're not weak for feeling overwhelmed. You're human. Your brain is built to detect threats, even when they aren't real. A missed text feels like rejection. A harsh word feels like an attack. A sudden change feels like the end of control. And when these things happen, your brain doesn't pause. It panics. It floods your body with stress hormones, narrows your thinking, and locks you into fight or flight. That's not your fault, but it is your responsibility to understand it and take your power back. You were never meant to live in a constant state of alert. You were not made to react to every little thing like it's life or death. But for too long, you've been running on autopilot, letting your thoughts dictate your reality. And here's the truth. No one told you. You can interrupt that cycle. You can train your mind to stop reacting and start responding. It starts with awareness. You can't change what you don't see. But once you notice how your brain overreacts, once you recognize those thoughts before they take over, you create a space. And in that space, you find freedom. That space is the most powerful thing you can create. It's where calm begins. It's where you choose how to show up, even when life gets loud. You're not a slave to your thoughts. You're not a victim of your emotions. You're the one behind the wheel. You just haven't realized it yet. And that realization, that moment of awareness, is where your transformation begins. It's not about never feeling stress. It's about not letting stress control you. It's not about avoiding chaos. It's about staying steady while the chaos moves around you. Imagine what your life would look like if you didn't react to every trigger. Imagine the peace of not needing to explain, defend, or prove yourself every time something goes wrong. Imagine walking into stressful situations and still feeling in control. That's not some fantasy. That's what happens when you train your mind. You become unshakable. You become calm in a world addicted to chaos. And that calm isn't weakness, it's wisdom. It's presence. It's power. Every time you pause instead of panic, breathe instead of break, respond instead of react, you grow stronger. And that strength builds layer by layer until one day you look back and realize you don't live in survival mode anymore. You lead, you choose, you rise. This is your power. Not to control the world, but to control your response to it. That's what changes everything. Keep going. You're already waking up the part of you that was born to lead from within. You don't have to wait for life to calm down before you find peace. Waiting for the world to cooperate is a trap. If your peace depends on circumstances being perfect, you'll be chasing calm forever. Real calm, the kind that lasts, has nothing to do with the outside. It's a decision you make inside yourself over and over until it becomes your way of living. Most people live in reaction mode, constantly pulled by emotions they never question. One moment they're fine, the next they're drowning in anger or fear. That's not living. That's surviving. And survival mode will rob you of everything: your joy, your clarity, your growth. The shift begins when you decide you're no longer available for chaos. When you decide that your peace is not up for negotiation, your mind will try to convince you that calm is weakness. That if you don't fight back, you lose. That if you don't speak up, you're being disrespected. But what your mind forgets is this: calm is not silence. Calm is not avoidance. Calm is clarity. Calm is power under pressure. It's the voice inside you that says, I see the chaos, but I won't become it. And when you learn to lead with that voice, you rise above situations that used to pull you under. You stop giving power to every little thing. You stop handing over your emotions to people who haven't earned them. You stop living in defense mode, always ready to prove, explain, or react. There's a deeper strength that most people never reach. Not because they can't, but because they've never been taught how. That strength comes when you stop fighting everything outside and start mastering what's inside. The triggers, the impulses, the storm of thoughts. You can meet them with presence instead of panic. You can feel everything without letting it control you. And the moment you stop letting your emotions lead the way, you start making better choices. You stop burning bridges. You stop sabotaging your progress. You begin to build a life you actually want to live. You don't need more motivation. You need mastery. Mastery over the moment. Mastery over your mind. That's what gives you peace when everything else is uncertain. That's what allows you to walk through stress without carrying it. And that's the work most people never do, because it's not easy, but it's worth it. Every time you stay grounded when things try to shake you, you grow. Every time you choose calm over chaos, you rewrite the way your brain responds to life. And that rewiring isn't temporary. It lasts. It strengthens. It becomes your new standard. You already have what it takes. The part of you that wants peace is stronger than the part that thrives on drama. You just need to feed it, train it, trust it. And when you do, you'll stop chasing calm and start becoming it. That's when everything begins to change, not around you, but within you. And that changes everything else. The moment you decide to train your mind, you take back authority over your life. Not just your thoughts, but your reactions, your decisions, your direction. That single decision shifts your identity. You are no longer just someone who responds to pressure. You become someone who creates stability from within. And that kind of power doesn't come from pretending everything is okay. It comes from facing what's not okay with courage, with honesty, with an inner stillness that refuses to be shaken. When your mind is steady, you stop leaking energy into things that don't deserve it. You stop letting small problems steal big chunks of your peace. And that is where your strength multiplies. Every situation you've labeled overwhelming, every moment that left you spinning, all of it becomes your training ground. Because those aren't just random obstacles. They're signals. They show you where you need to grow. They point to the areas where calm hasn't been built yet. And once you stop fearing those moments, once you start facing them with intention, you no longer avoid stress. You learn from it. You observe your thoughts without becoming them. You feel emotions without drowning in them. You recognize patterns without being controlled by them. And that awareness, that mental discipline, is what gives you the edge. You become someone who can walk into a room filled with pressure and not lose your center. You become someone who can hold space for discomfort without rushing to escape it. And when others around you lose control, you become the anchor. That's leadership. That's real influence. Not noise, not force, but presence. And that presence can only be built when you are willing to do the work no one else sees. The quiet work, the inner work, the breath before the reaction, the pause before the spiral. The decision to stay grounded even when everything tells you to panic. If you can master one thing, let it be this: the space between what happens and how you respond. That space is your power. That space is where your future is shaped. That space is where your calm is created, one choice at a time. And that choice doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to be consistent. With every breath, with every pause, with every moment you resist the urge to lose control, you are teaching your brain a new way to live, a new default, a new normal. This is not about becoming emotionless. It's about becoming emotionally intelligent, knowing when to speak, when to stay silent, when to engage, and when to let go. That clarity comes from calm, and that calm is yours to build, no matter where you're starting from. You don't need a perfect life to have peace. You need a trained mind, one that works for you, not against you. The kind of mind that doesn't just survive the storm, but stays still enough to guide others through it. That's who you're becoming. Keep going. There's a version of you that already knows how to stay calm in the middle of chaos. That version isn't distant or imaginary. It's already inside you, waiting for you to stop living on autopilot and start showing up with intention. You don't need to become someone else to be strong. You need to become more of who you really are beneath the noise. The noise of fear, the noise of doubt, the noise of overthinking, second-guessing, and reacting to things that don't deserve your energy. When you strip all that away, you meet the part of you that's been calm all along, not because life made it easy, but because you finally decided to stop letting life decide for you. You've been told to toughen up, to push through, to never show weakness. But real toughness isn't loud. It doesn't need to shout. Real toughness is quiet discipline. It's being fully present in the tension and not flinching. It's breathing through the discomfort without letting it become your identity. That kind of inner calm isn't born from comfort. It's built through practice. It's built when you choose not to argue, not to escalate, not to let external energy hijack your state. It's built when you choose presence over panic, clarity over chaos. And every time you do, you raise your standard. You train your nervous system to stay grounded. You build resilience not by chance, but by choice. Your mind is always listening to how you respond. Every reaction is a signal. Every decision is a command. When you feed panic, you reinforce panic. When you practice calm, you reinforce calm. That's how the brain learns. Repetition, intention, focus. You become what you rehearse. So ask yourself, what are you rehearsing daily? Is it fear, doubt, anxiety? Or is it presence, control, calm? You can't expect peace if all you do is practice chaos. You can't expect clarity if all you do is react emotionally. But the second you start training your focus, redirecting your thoughts, calming your breath, you rewire your mind. You take the power back from your triggers and put it into your hands. When you stop reacting, you start choosing. When you stop rushing, you start noticing. When you stop defending, you start leading. And that shift creates a completely different experience of life. You stop taking everything personally. You stop assuming the worst. You stop needing external permission to feel okay. Instead, you become the one who defines the atmosphere. You become the one who brings the calm, holds the line, and moves through life with quiet confidence that can't be shaken. And that energy, it changes how people treat you. It changes how opportunities find you. It changes how you handle everything. This isn't just about managing stress, it's about reclaiming your authority. The world will keep moving fast. People will keep projecting their chaos. But you've decided to slow down, to stay centered, to become the calm in the storm. That's the decision that changes everything. That's the power that leads to peace. Staying calm doesn't mean you never feel anger, fear, or frustration. It means you stop letting those emotions control you. You stop letting them hijack your thoughts, your words, your peace. Emotional maturity is not about suppressing how you feel. It's about noticing it, acknowledging it, and choosing not to let it own you. You feel it, but you don't feed it. You let it pass, but you don't let it plant roots. That's how you rise above the noise. Not by pretending you're unaffected, but by refusing to be consumed. The world doesn't need more people reacting from pain. It needs people who can feel deeply and still lead themselves wisely. You've seen what happens when emotions run wild. How quickly a moment can spiral when you say something you didn't mean. When you act from fear instead of clarity. That version of you doesn't feel strong, it feels out of control. And the truth is that pain isn't because you felt something, it's because you let the feeling drive the decision. But when you're calm, when you're centered, you don't lose yourself. You observe your emotions like a storm passing over the sea. You see the waves, but you remember the depth beneath. You remember that your value isn't in how loud you react, but in how powerfully you stay rooted when everything feels uncertain. You get to choose the energy you bring into the room. You get to decide whether you mirror chaos or reflect calm. That decision affects every conversation, every opportunity, every relationship. People notice when someone isn't easily shaken. It draws respect, it builds trust, and more than that, it builds something within you that can't be taken away, self-respect. You start to trust yourself, not because you always get it right, but because you're no longer a slave to impulse. You're no longer trying to win every battle. You're learning to win the war within. True strength is restraint. True confidence is quiet. When you know who you are, you don't need to prove it. When you trust your path, you don't need to chase validation. You move different. You walk into situations with a peace that speaks louder than any words. That's the version of you that's unstoppable, not because life gets easier, but because you've made your mind stronger. You've made your inner world more stable than the outer world. And that's where your freedom lives. Not in controlling circumstances, but in mastering yourself. If your peace depends on everything going right, you'll always feel threatened. But if your peace is built on mental clarity, on discipline, on emotional regulation, then nothing can take it from you. You'll walk through chaos with a calm that confuses people. You'll face uncertainty with a stillness that inspires others. You'll handle pressure with a grace that sets you apart. And every time you do, you remind yourself of who you've become. Not just calm in the moment, but calm by choice, calm by design. Calm because you've decided to lead your life, not react to it. You weren't born to be reactive. You were born to be intentional, to stand in the middle of pressure and still have power over what you think, how you respond, and where your energy goes. Your power isn't in controlling other people or outcomes. Your real power is in mastering yourself when life doesn't go the way you planned. The world will test you. People will misunderstand you. Situations will provoke you. But none of that determines who you are, unless you let it. Your identity isn't built in ease, it's revealed in discomfort. And when your mind learns how to stay calm under pressure, you become someone the world can't manipulate. Calm is not weakness. Calm is control. When you're calm, you take the weight off your shoulders that doesn't belong to you. You stop trying to fix everything and start focusing on managing yourself. That's when everything changes. You realize that peace is not the absence of noise. It's the presence of clarity within the noise. And you create it, not by escaping the world, but by disciplining your focus. You stop letting minor things create major chaos in your head. You stop chasing closure in every misunderstanding. You stop trying to win every argument. You start choosing peace not as a reaction, but as a daily standard. Every time you stay calm when it would be easier to snap, you're retraining your brain. You're sending a message to yourself, I'm no longer controlled by emotional reflexes. I respond with purpose. And that mental discipline is what builds long-term strength. Not just in difficult conversations, but in every part of your life. When your mind is calm, your choices are clearer. When your thoughts are calm, your vision becomes sharp. You stop living in reaction mode and start creating your life from a higher place of power. Calmness isn't the result of perfect conditions. It's the result of conscious decisions. It's the result of boundaries, internal and external. You stop letting other people's urgency become your emergency. You stop letting their chaos become your narrative. You no longer need to be pulled into drama just to prove a point. You let go, not because you're passive, but because you've grown past needing every situation to validate your worth. You no longer seek control of the outside world because you've learned to control your inside world. That is where real freedom begins. No one else can give you this power. No one else can hand you this mindset. You have to build it. You have to choose it. You have to protect it. Every single day. And it's not easy, but it is worth it. Because a calm mind doesn't just handle life better. It changes how life responds to you. People feel it. Opportunities notice it. Your confidence reflects it. And when you build that kind of internal strength, nothing outside of you can take it away. That's what makes you unshakable. Not the absence of storms, but the presence of peace that nothing can touch. Calmness is not the absence of intensity. It is intensity under your control. It is fire without chaos. It is energy without panic. When you master calmness, you stop being thrown by every small inconvenience, every rude comment, every unexpected change. You begin to hold yourself like a mountain, still, solid, unmoved by surface-level storms. Your presence begins to carry a different weight. People notice when you no longer flinch, when you don't react just to prove a point, when you don't rush to speak, but choose your words with intention. That is not silence from fear, it is silence from strength. You are not here to be triggered by everything. You are here to rise above it. You are here to learn the power of pause. That single moment between stimulus and response where your greatest growth lives. Because in that space, you decide who you are. Do you choose to react from your past or respond from your purpose? Do you allow every moment to steal your energy, or do you anchor into your values and act with clarity? That one decision, repeated over time, builds an entirely different future. One where you are no longer a prisoner to circumstances. One where you lead, you shape, you move with confidence and certainty. Emotions are not your enemy, they're signals. But if you let them take over, they become sabotage. Fear becomes hesitation. Anger becomes destruction. Sadness becomes surrender. But when you stay calm, those same emotions become fuel. Fear becomes awareness. Anger becomes boundary. Sadness becomes depth. Calmness gives you the space to process without drowning. It keeps you grounded when the ground feels like it's shifting beneath you. It reminds you that you are not your emotions. You are the observer. You are the navigator. You are in control. Building a calm mind is not passive. It is an active process. It takes self-awareness. It takes practice. It takes the willingness to be uncomfortable without running. You stop looking for peace in external approval, and you start creating it through internal discipline. You begin to guard your attention like it's your most valuable currency, because it is. Whatever you focus on, you feel. So you start choosing focus that empowers you, thoughts that ground you, perspectives that elevate you. And with each choice, your inner world becomes a place of strength, not struggle. The more calm you become, the more clearly you see. You start to understand that most people aren't trying to hurt you. They're reacting from their own pain. You begin to separate what's about you from what's about them. You stop absorbing energy that doesn't belong to you. And that separation is freedom. That clarity is liberation. You're no longer caught in emotional battles that drain you. You're no longer triggered by things that once consumed you. You've evolved. You've matured. You've taken your power back, not by fighting harder, but by thinking deeper, breathing slower, and choosing better. Calm isn't just how you survive, it's how you lead. It's how you win. You don't need to match the chaos around you. You're allowed to rise above it. When the world speeds up, when everything pulls at your attention, when people push your buttons just to get a reaction, your power is in staying grounded. That moment when everyone else is spiraling and you stay composed, that's not weakness. That's dominance. That's presence. That's self-leadership. Because control is never about changing the outside. It's about mastering what's inside. The breath, the thoughts, the energy. And when you realize that, you stop reacting to everything that doesn't deserve your power. It's tempting to think that being calm means being passive, that not responding means letting people get away with things. But calm doesn't mean you tolerate disrespect. It means you handle it without losing yourself. It means you draw lines with clarity, not chaos. You speak truth without yelling. You move with conviction, not aggression. That's what separates strength from struggle. Your ability to respond from stability, not from emotional survival. The more you practice it, the more natural it becomes. Your body starts to remember what stillness feels like. Your mind begins to crave clarity more than conflict. And people feel it. They sense when your peace isn't negotiable. Every time you choose calm over chaos, you're rewiring your brain. You're training it to look for solutions instead of spiraling in problems. You're teaching it to pause, breathe, and reflect, rather than explode, panic, or shut down. It's not a one-time switch, it's a habit, a mental muscle. And like any muscle, it grows through resistance. Every tough moment, every trigger, every test is an opportunity to practice, to pause instead of react, to breathe instead of break, to act instead of collapse. That's how transformation happens, not in perfect conditions, but in pressure. You must become the calm in your own storm, because storms will come. Uncertainty is a guarantee. People will misunderstand you. Life will throw curveballs you didn't see coming. And when it does, you'll have a choice, spiral with it or stand through it. let it shake you or let it shape you. When you train your mind to stay calm, you don't eliminate the storm. You just stop handing it your peace. You hold your power. You think clearly. You move intentionally. And most of all, you build trust in yourself. Because if you can stay calm here, you can stay calm anywhere. The world respects calm energy. It respects the person who doesn't need to dominate the room to lead it. It respects the one who doesn't chase attention, but commands respect through presence alone. That's the energy you build when you train your mind to stay calm. Not loud, not aggressive, not desperate, but powerful, steady, unshaken. You become a force, not because you react, but because you no longer have to. You've trained yourself to rise above it, and now nothing outside of you controls what happens inside of you. That is peace. That is power. That is growth. You are not defined by the noise around you. You are defined by how you handle it. Think about it for a moment. What's the most powerful thing you can do when life is throwing everything at you? It's not to fight harder, yell louder, or rush to fix everything. The most powerful thing you can do is to stay calm, to choose your responses rather than let the world choose them for you. The storm will pass, but if you let it control you, it will leave its mark. But when you choose to stay calm, it cannot touch you. It doesn't have the power to break you. It only makes you stronger. Every time you remain calm, you are proving to yourself that you can handle anything. You're telling your mind, I am in control. And that belief begins to shape your reality. Your mind starts to see every challenge not as an obstacle, but as an opportunity. The truth is, we all face struggles. The difference between those who survive them and those who thrive through them is how they react. The more you train your mind to stay calm, the more you are rewiring it for success. You are teaching it that stress and fear don't have to lead the way. Instead, clarity and calmness can be your guide. When you stay calm, you build resilience. You begin to see the bigger picture. You stop reacting to every emotion, every setback, and instead, you choose to rise above them. You stop being a victim of your circumstances and become the creator of your own peace. And that's when real change starts to happen. It's not about forcing yourself to stay calm when things are good. It's about building the mental muscle to stay calm when things are hard. That's when the transformation occurs. In those moments, you realize that the power was always within you. You don't need to wait for the storm to end. You can make the choice to stay grounded, no matter what comes your way. The beauty of staying calm is that it doesn't just help you in tough moments. It elevates every part of your life. You start seeing things clearly. You stop being influenced by the chaos and start being led by your own inner wisdom. The more you practice, the easier it becomes. Your mind begins to crave that sense of calm, and your body follows suit. Your breath slows, your heart steadies, and your decisions become clear. You begin to make choices that align with your highest self, not the fear that tries to pull you into chaos. When you stay calm, you are giving yourself permission to be your best self. You no longer need to prove anything to anyone because your confidence comes from within. You don't need to react to every situation. Instead, you act with purpose and intention. You understand that not every situation requires your immediate reaction. In fact, most situations are better handled with a calm, composed approach. It's the key to unlocking your potential and living a life that's not ruled by emotions or circumstances, but by your own inner power. You've trained your mind, and now it works for you. You are unstoppable. When you choose calm, you choose control over your mind, your emotions, and your future. You stop being a slave to outside circumstances, and you begin to see the limitless potential within. Stress and panic may try to overwhelm you, but they lose their power when you stand firm in your inner peace. This isn't about being perfect or never feeling overwhelmed. It's about making the decision to not let those moments define you. Every time you choose calm, you choose strength. And over time, that strength compounds into a power you can't ignore. Your mind is capable of more than you realize. But in the midst of chaos, it's easy to forget that. The key is to remember that you have the ability to pause, to step back, and to breathe. When you do this, you allow your mind to reset. You stop reacting impulsively to what's happening around you, and instead, you make decisions from a place of clarity. In those moments, you're not just surviving, you're thriving. You're in control. And that's when the magic happens. The more you practice this, the easier it becomes to remain composed. It's not about shutting down your emotions. It's about understanding that emotions are not commands. They are signals. And you can choose how to respond to those signals. The power of calmness doesn't just come from within, it radiates outward. When you remain composed, you become a stabilizing force in the lives of those around you. You inspire those you interact with to do the same. Your calm becomes a quiet yet powerful force that influences everything you touch. People start to notice your presence. They feel safe around you because they sense your steadiness. They begin to rely on your clarity to navigate their own struggles. And as you become a beacon of calm, you also build deeper, more meaningful connections. Your relationships thrive because you're not constantly reacting to every little thing. Instead, you're responding thoughtfully with intention. The key to maintaining